28 is a strange age. You stop expecting fireworks and balloon arches and three-tier cakes. You just hope someone remembers. A call, a text, hey, you matter. I'm glad you were born. My name is Haley Monroe. I'm 28 years old, and my family has a special talent for turning the days that should have meant the most into days I wish I could forget. That Saturday, March 15th, I woke up before my alarm. My first instinct was to grab my phone. No missed calls, no messages. Even my mom, who usually sends some random string of emojis at 6 in the morning, was silent. I stared at the blank lock screen for a moment, my chest tight in a way I pretended not to notice. Okay, I told myself, tossing the phone aside. Maybe they're planning something. I made coffee in my tiny one-bedroom apartment, the machine sputtering like it was as tired as I was. I sat by the window and watched the city slowly light up. Sirens in the distance, the hum of traffic, a couple arguing on the sidewalk like it was their full-time job. My life wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. I worked as an assistant manager at a local electronics store. I drove a beat-up Honda Civic held together by duct tape, zip ties, and pure stubbornness. My couch sagged in the middle like it had given up on its dreams. The faucet in my kitchen dripped, no matter how many times I tightened it. My bedroom window never closed all the way, so every 3 a.m., motorcycle sounded like it was revving in my skull. But I paid my rent on time. I had zero debt. I didn't ask anyone for money. For 2 years, I'd been quietly funneling away a little bit each month into a savings account labeled Someday. Maybe for a small business. Maybe for something that actually felt like a life instead of just an existence. At 9:02 a.m., my phone finally buzzed. Mom, happy birthday, sweetie. Meet us at 6 p.m. Surprise. I stared at that message for a full 5 minutes. A surprise from my family. The last surprise they'd thrown me was when they invited me to dinner and, halfway through the meal, slid the check toward me with a cheerful, "You have a job now, right?" I'd spent $140 that night. No one said thank you. They just waved like I'd done what was expected. I could feel the cynicism rise like a reflex. I swallowed it back down. Maybe this year is different, I whispered to myself. Spoiler, it wasn't. By late afternoon, I was standing in front of my closet, which looked like a clearance rack that had lost a fight. I chose my best shirt, a dark blue button-up I'd found on sale at Target and treated like it was couture. I did my makeup carefully, the way you do when you're trying to convince yourself you're worth the effort. A little mascara, some lip color, a dab of perfume I only used on special occasions. I wanted to believe this was one. The address Mom texted popped up on my GPS. I drove there with my heart stubbornly trying to be hopeful. Maybe a nice family restaurant. Maybe somewhere they had to make reservations. Maybe. The neon sign came into view, flickering like it wanted to be put out of its misery. Golden Corral. Not a cute little bistro, not a steakhouse, not even an Olive Garden with endless breadsticks as a consolation prize. A buffet where the food always looked like it had been through something traumatic. I sat in my car for a moment, staring at the glowing letters through my windshield. Of course, I muttered. Why not? My phone buzzed. Mom, where are you? We're all here. I took a deep breath, turned off the engine, and walked inside. The smell hit me first. Fried everything, industrial cleaner, and something vaguely sweet that might have been dessert or might have been regret. The fluorescent lighting was the kind that made everyone look either slightly ill or slightly embalmed. My family was at a big table by the window. Mom, waving like I was late to my own parade. Dad, already halfway through a plate of something beige. My older sister, Jessica, perfect hair, perfect nails, perfect I just leased an SUV energy. Her husband, Chris, chewing like he believed in the power of meat and silence. My younger brother, Ethan, hunched over his phone, headphones in one ear. And my cousin, Melanie, whose resting face always hovered somewhere between bored and judgmental. Haley, over here, sweetie, Mom called. I walked over, forcing a smile. Hey, I said, sliding into the empty chair. Happy birthday, Ethan mumbled, not looking up from whatever video he was watching. Jessica gave me a nod. You look nice, she said, like she was handing out participation trophies. Chris chewed. Melanie rolled her eyes at something on her phone. Dad pointed toward the buffet. Well, go get a plate. It's all you can eat. He said it with the enthusiasm of someone announcing a lottery win. Really, he added. Load up. Get your money's worth. He paused, smirking. Well, our money's worth. Right, I said softly. Can't waste the big splurge. I grabbed a plate and walked the buffet alone. The mashed potatoes were a suspicious shade of gray. The fried chicken glistened under the heat lamps with an oily sheen that looked more industrial than edible. The mac and cheese had formed a skin. The green beans floated in something that was either butter or despair. I piled a little bit of everything onto my plate and went back to the table. No one asked how I'd been. No one asked about my job, or my apartment, or my plans. Jessica was busy talking about her new Lexus SUV. Because we deserve something nice, you know. Melanie was ranting about how her friend Brittany had totally stolen her Instagram aesthetic. Ethan's TikToks were playing just loud enough to be annoying. Dad was eating like competitive speed eating was his calling. Mom was scrolling her phone, reading the dessert options like they were ancient prophecies. I chewed a piece of overcooked meat and felt like an extra in a movie about my own life. Just someone sitting in the blurry background. Then Mom reached into her purse. "Okay," she said, sounding almost proud. "We have something for you." She pulled out a cheap white envelope, the kind you buy in bulk. My name, Haley, was scrawled on the front in black marker, handwriting slanted like it had been done in the car at a red light. She held it out to me. "We all signed it," she said. Something inside me tightened. I opened the envelope. Inside was the most generic birthday card I'd ever seen, cartoon cake on the front. "Happy birthday," in a cheap font inside. No cash, no gift card, no note, just signatures. "Happy birthday, hope it's great. Mom and Dad. Have a good one. Jessica and Chris. Yo, Ethan." And at the bottom, in Melanie's looping handwriting, "Maybe next year you'll do something worth celebrating." I stared at the words, once, twice, a third time, just to be sure I hadn't misread it. When I looked up, Melanie was smiling like she'd just delivered the punchline of the century. Jessica was giggling behind her hand. Mom was shaking her head fondly. "Oh, that Melanie, such a kid," expression on her face. Dad actually laughed. "She got you good," he said. "It's just a joke, Haley." "Don't take it so seriously," Melanie added. "God, you're always so sensitive." There it was. The word they'd used on me my entire life. Like a diagnosis. Sensitive. As if feeling hurt by being told I wasn't worth celebrating was some kind of personality flaw. Dad nodded, mouth full. "Yeah, lighten up. We're just having fun." Something in me didn't explode. It didn't shatter. It snapped, quietly, cleanly. Not in anger, not in tears. Just a clear, cold realization. They didn't respect me. Maybe they never had. I'd always been the reliable one. The one who showed up when someone needed a ride, or a loan, or help moving. The one who paid when the check mysteriously confused everyone. The one who let herself be the butt of the joke because it kept the peace. But I was never the one they actually celebrated. I slipped the card into my jacket pocket. Then I took out my phone. "What are you doing?" Mom asked. "Taking a picture," I said. I held the card up so Melanie's line was fully visible. I angled the camera just right. My face in the foreground, expression flat, the Golden Corral table behind me, sad buffet food, half eaten, my family mid-chew, mid-laugh, mid-oblivious. I took the selfie. Jessica frowned. "Why are you taking a picture of that?" I didn't answer. I stood up and picked up my jacket. "Where are you going?" Mom asked, her voice high with performative concern. "Home," I said. "But we haven't even ordered the cake yet." "Don't bother." I walked away. No one stood up. No one tried to stop me. As I pushed through the double doors, I heard them behind me, talking, laughing, moving on, like I'd just stepped out to take a call and disappeared. In the car, I sat for a full minute, hands on the steering wheel, heart hammering, but not from guilt. From something else, something sharper. I unlocked my phone, opened the photo, and uploaded it. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Caption: 28 years old, Golden Corral, a birthday card that says I'm not worth celebrating. Happy birthday to me. Thanks for the reminder of who I am to you. My thumb hovered over the post button. For a second, I heard all their voices in my head. "You're overreacting. You're too sensitive. Don't make a scene." Then I pressed post. I put my phone face down on the passenger seat, started the car, and drove home. I didn't know what would happen next. I just knew that for the first time in 28 years, I had chosen myself, even if it was just with a caption. The first notification came at 6:47 p.m. I was on my sagging couch eating 2-day-old pizza that had definitely passed its prime, but was still technically edible. My phone buzzed once, then again, then again. It didn't stop. I picked it up. 17 notifications, then 24, then 32. The first comment was from my old college roommate, Jake. Haley, what the hell? This is messed up. Then Sarah, a girl from my first retail job. I'm so sorry. You deserve so much better than this. Then people I barely remembered. People I hadn't spoken to in years. Friends of friends. Total strangers. This is heartbreaking. Your family should be ashamed. Golden Corral for a birthday? Nah, I'd go no contact on the spot. That card is straight up emotional abuse. Within an hour, it had 50 shares. By 8, over 200. Around 9, it crossed 1,000. People were tagging their own siblings, their parents, sharing the post with captions like, "This is why I don't talk to certain relatives anymore," and "Blood isn't an excuse to treat people like this." I watched the numbers climb and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Seen, not pitied, not mocked, seen. A DM popped up from someone I didn't know. "Hey, I don't know you, but what they did was wrong. You matter. Happy birthday." I saved that one. By 9:30, my phone was blowing up, but not just from strangers anymore. The family group chat lit up like someone had kicked a hornet's nest. "Jessica, why would you post that? You're making us look bad." "Melanie, it was a joke." "God, you're so sensitive. This is embarrassing." "Ethan, Haley, take it down. Mom's freaking out." "Mom, Haley, please delete that post. People are calling me. This is really embarrassing." That word again. Embarrassing. Not hurtful. Not cruel. Not "we're sorry." Embarrassing. For them. I muted the group chat. Put the phone down. Kept scrolling through the comments from people who understood what it felt like to be the afterthought in your own family. When I finally went to bed, I left my phone on the nightstand, buzzing every couple of minutes. I didn't silence it. Every vibration felt like proof that I wasn't crazy, that what they'd done wasn't just a joke. Sunday morning, I woke up to over 400 comments and more than 1,500 shares. Someone had posted a screenshot of my selfie and card to Twitter. One tweet had already hit 12,000 likes. The caption read, "This is why chosen family matters. You don't owe toxic people your presence just because you share DNA." I stared at that line for a long time. Then my phone rang. "Mom," the caller ID said. I let it go to voicemail. She called again, and again. 4 times in a row. On the 5th call, I answered. "Hello? Haley, you need to take that post down right now." Her voice was sharp, clipped, the sound she used when a cashier got her order wrong. "Good morning to you too," I said. "This isn't funny. People are messaging me, calling your father, even contacting Jessica at work. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is?" "Maybe," I said slowly. "That's because what you did was humiliating." Silence, the kind that fills your ears with static. "Excuse me?" she snapped. "You heard me," I said. "You took me to the cheapest buffet you could find, handed me a card that basically said I'm not worth celebrating, laughed about it, and now you're mad because people saw what you did?" "It was a joke," she said. "Melanie didn't mean anything by it. You're blowing this completely out of proportion." "Then why," I asked, "is nobody laughing now?" She sputtered. "You're being dramatic. This is how we are. We tease each other. You know that. You've always been so sensitive about everything." "No," I said quietly. "You tease me, and I'm done pretending it's funny." "So what then?" she demanded. "Your solution is to air our private family business to the entire internet, to humiliate us?" "I posted the truth," I replied. "If the truth humiliates you, maybe you should think about why that is." I could hear her breathing hard on the other end, heavy, frustrated. "Your father wants to talk to you," she snapped finally. "Tell Dad I'm busy," I said. "Haley," I hung up. My hands were shaking. But it wasn't fear. It was something that felt like freedom. Like I'd been carrying a weight for 28 years and had finally set it down, just for a minute, to see how it felt. I didn't know yet that this was only the beginning. I just knew one thing. They weren't going to let this go. And for once, neither was I. The thing about the internet is that it doesn't stop for anyone. After that call with my mom, I made myself breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, coffee, and sat at my wobbly little kitchen table with my phone in my hand like it was life support. Every time I refreshed the app, there were more comments. People from high school I hadn't talked to in a decade, coworkers from jobs I'd forgotten about, friends of friends, total strangers whose lives I'd never touch in any other universe. "This is heartbreaking. I'm so sorry you went through this. Your family should be ashamed. That card is not a joke. That's emotional abuse. Golden Corral for your birthday?" I'd block them on sight. Between the anger and outrage were quieter messages that hit harder. I felt this in my soul. My parents did something similar when I turned 21, and I still haven't forgiven them. Thank you for posting this. I thought I was just oversensitive too. For the first time, the word sensitive didn't feel like a slur. It felt like a shared language, like we were all bleeding in the same places and finally holding our wounds up to the light. By Sunday afternoon, the post had been shared over 1,500 times. Someone had screenshotted it and posted it to Twitter. One tweet had thousands of likes already, with people arguing in the replies about whether family meant anything if they treated you like that. I was mid-scroll when a new notification popped up, a message request from someone I didn't know. Claire, hi Haley, I saw your post. I know this might sound weird coming from a stranger, but I went through something really similar with my family 2 years ago. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. Sometimes it helps to know you're not alone. I clicked on her profile, mid-30s, smiling in half her photos, hiking in the others. She had a golden retriever named Biscuit who showed up so often he might as well have been a co-owner of the account. Her bio mentioned marketing, books, and iced coffee. She looked normal, balanced, not like someone who would be drawn to drama for fun. Hi, I typed back. Thanks. That actually means a lot. She replied almost immediately. Family stuff is the hardest, she wrote, especially when they gaslight you into thinking you're the problem. But you're not. What you did, posting the truth, that took real courage. I stared at that word, courage. No one in my family had ever used that word about me. Sensitive, dramatic, ungrateful, sure, but courageous? Never. We ended up talking for over an hour. Claire told me how her parents had forgotten her college graduation. Not, we mixed up the time, forgotten. Completely. They went out of town that weekend. Didn't call, didn't text. A week later, they threw a massive engagement party for her younger brother. When she tried to tell them how hurt she was, they told her she was selfish for making it all about herself. I went low contact after that, Claire said, and I've never been more at peace. Doesn't it feel wrong, I asked, to pull away from your own parents? It felt wrong at first, she admitted, but staying and letting them chip away at me felt worse. You don't owe them your silence, Haley. You don't owe them anything. The words sank in slowly, like dye in water. I'd spent 28 years convinced I owed them everything. Time, money, patience, forgiveness, laughter at jokes that bruised me. The idea that I might not owe them anything, it was terrifying and intoxicating. By the end of the weekend, my inbox was full of stories like Claire's. Different details, same ache. Forgotten birthdays, one-sided sacrifices, siblings worshipped like golden idols, while someone else quietly disappeared in the background. I wasn't unique, I was common. Oddly, that made me feel less broken. My own family, though, they went quiet for exactly one day. Then Monday rolled around. I was at work that afternoon, restocking TVs in the electronics store, when my phone buzzed in my back pocket. A text from an unknown number. Hi, Haley. This is your Aunt Linda. I just wanted to reach out because your mother is beside herself. She hasn't stopped crying since yesterday. I know you're upset, but don't you think this has gone far enough? Family is family. We forgive each other. That's what we do. I leaned against a display shelf and read it twice. Aunt Linda, my mom's older sister, the family mediator, the self-appointed peacekeeper who showed up every time someone dared to be upset and smoothed things over until it all looked calm again. On the surface, anyway. The message sat there, pulsing on the screen like a heartbeat. Not one mention of what they had done. Not one word about the card. Just my mother's tears and the sacredness of family. I didn't respond. 10 minutes later, another text from a different unknown number. Hey kiddo, it's Uncle Ray. Saw what happened online. Look, your mom and dad aren't perfect, but they love you. Maybe just take the post down and we can all move on. No need to drag this out. Move on. Like my hurt was a bad TV show everyone was tired of watching. A third message appeared later that evening, this time from my grandmother. Sweetheart, I heard about the birthday situation. I'm sure it was just a misunderstanding. Your mother has a good heart. Please don't shut them out. You'll regret it when we're gone. There it was. The holy trinity of guilt. Misunderstanding, good heart, regret when we're gone. None of them said, that was wrong. None of them said, I can't believe they gave you a card like that. None of them said, you didn't deserve that. They just wanted me to shut up and pretend it had never happened. I stared at the 3 message threads, thumb hovering. Then I blocked Aunt Linda, blocked Uncle Ray, blocked my grandmother. Not out of spite, out of self-defense. Because I knew how this went. The phone calls, the gentle nudging, the be the bigger person, the you're overreacting. They would talk me into doubting myself, back into the box labeled sensitive one. I wasn't going back in. That night, my phone rang again. Dad, the caller ID said. I almost let it go to voicemail. Something in me, curiosity maybe, made me swipe to accept. Hello? You've really done it now, haven't you? His voice was flat, cold. Done what? I asked, even though I already knew. You've turned the whole family against each other. Your mother is devastated. Jessica won't stop crying. Even your grandmother is upset. All because you couldn't take a joke. I swallowed, the old familiar guilt trying to claw its way up my throat. It wasn't a joke, Dad. It was, he snapped. Melanie was just trying to be funny. You've always been too sensitive, ever since you were a kid. Making mountains out of molehills. That's what you've always done. So me being hurt by a card that says I'm not worth celebrating, I said slowly, is a molehill? Yes, he said, because it wasn't serious. Nobody meant it that way. You're the one who decided to blow it up and embarrass us all over social media like some kind of... He trailed off, like even he couldn't find the right insult. I took a breath and asked a question I'd never dared to say out loud. Dad, have you ever once asked me how I'm doing? Not as a lead-in to asking for a favor, just because you actually cared? Silence. Have you ever remembered my birthday without Mom reminding you? I continued. Called just to talk? Shown up for me the way you show up for Jessica or Ethan? The silence stretched. I could almost hear his jaw clenching through the phone. That's what I thought, I said quietly. I'm not taking the post down, and I'm not apologizing for telling the truth. Then you're not welcome at Thanksgiving, he said. The old me would have crumbled. I would have begged, backtracked, explained. This time I almost laughed. I wasn't planning on coming anyway, I said. He hung up. I sat there on my couch, phone in my hand, waiting for the familiar wave of panic and shame to crash over me. It didn't. Instead, I felt lighter, like someone had loosened a tight band around my chest. 3 days after my birthday, the family group chat, still muted, started racking up notifications like a slot machine. 47 unread messages. 52. 68. Finally, curiosity won. I opened it. Mom, I just got off the phone with Barbara from church. She saw the post. I'm humiliated. Jessica, my boss asked me about it today. My boss. Do you have any idea how unprofessional this makes me look? Melanie, I'm getting DMs from random people calling me toxic. This is ridiculous. It was a joke. Ethan, guys, can we just chill? It's not that deep. Jessica, not that deep? Haley made us look like monsters. Dad, we need to do damage control. Now. Mom, what if we all post something together, like a family statement? Melanie, or we can just report her posts and get them taken down. I scrolled, sipping my coffee. They weren't worried about me. They weren't reflecting. They were worried about their image, their reputations, their social circles. Classic. Then I saw the message that made me stop. Jessica, wait. Someone tagged me in a comment. They're asking if I'm the same Jessica who works at Morrison and Associates. Mom, what did you say? Jessica, nothing yet. But what if clients see this? What if it affects my reputation? Melanie, maybe Haley should have thought about that before she decided to play victim on the internet. There it was again. Victim. As if the card didn't exist. As if the photo wasn't real. As if 28 years of being sidelined was just bad lighting and imagination. I took a screenshot of that message and saved it in a folder on my phone labeled Evidence. Not because I was planning some grand revenge, just because I wanted to remember this moment. The moment they proved exactly who they were in writing. Then I did something I'd been thinking about since the night of my birthday. I tapped the group name at the top of the screen, scrolled down, and hit Leave Group. A warning popped up. Are you sure you want to leave this chat? Yes. The chat disappeared. It felt like deleting a spam folder that had been clogging my phone and my brain for years. The next morning, I woke up to an email notification. Subject line, interview request, local news segment. My heart did a weird little flip. I opened it. Hi, Haley. My name is Andrea Mills. I'm a producer for a local news segment called Your Voice Matters on Channel 7. We cover human interest stories in our community, and we came across your viral birthday post. We'd love to talk to you about your experience and give you a platform to share your story, if you're comfortable with that. We can do the interview remotely via Zoom. Please let me know if you'd be interested. Best Andrea. I read it once, twice, a third time, just to make sure it wasn't some bizarre prank. My story, on TV. Not as a joke, not as gossip, as a conversation. I could feel my pulse in my fingertips as I typed back. Hi, Andrea. Yes, I'd be interested. Thank you for reaching out. Let me know what works for you. I hit send and stared at my reflection in the black screen of my TV. The girl who sat there didn't look like a victim. She looked awake. What I didn't know yet was that telling the truth to a camera would change everything again, not just for me, but for the people watching. Andrea emailed me back within an hour. Thursday at 2 p.m. works. I'll send you the Zoom link. I didn't tell my family, I didn't tell social media, I didn't even tell my coworkers. I wanted it quiet, contained, like holding a flame cupped between my hands. But someone, somewhere, let it slip. Because Wednesday night, as I stood in my kitchen heating leftover Chinese food, my phone buzzed with a new message. This time, not from a stranger. Ethan. Not the group chat, not through mom, just him. Hey, I know you left the chat. I don't blame you. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. I froze with the microwave beeping behind me. I didn't think the card was funny, he continued. I just didn't say anything because I didn't want to make it weird. But it was messed up. You didn't deserve that. Happy belated birthday, Haley. For real. I stared at the message for so long the screen dimmed. This was the first honest thing anyone in my family had said to me in years. Maybe ever. Thanks, I typed back. That means a lot. He replied almost instantly. Mom and Dad are freaking out about some news interview. Is that real? I couldn't help the smile tugging at the corner of my mouth. Yeah, Thursday. Damn, he wrote. They're gonna lose it. I know. Good luck, sis. It hit me then. Harder than the viral comments. Harder than the news email. My little brother, who barely looked up from his phone most days, was the first one to choose me over the family narrative. The first to actually see me. Thursday came fast. I cleaned my apartment like I was preparing for an inspection, straightened my hair, adjusted my lighting, tested my laptop camera, then tested it again. I wanted to look composed, calm, not like a woman who had cried into her pillow more nights than she could count. Andrea appeared on the Zoom screen exactly at 2 p.m. She was warm and professional, with an interviewer's smile and eyes that actually listened. She didn't treat me like a spectacle. She treated me like a human being with a story worth hearing. We talked for 30 minutes. She asked about the dinner, the card, the years of being overlooked. She asked how the internet had responded, how my family had responded, how I was doing. I told the truth, not dramatically, not to make anyone look good or bad, just plainly, the way a wound exists plainly. Then she asked, what do you hope people take away from your story, Haley? I paused, looked directly at the camera, felt the weight of the moment settle on my shoulders like a shawl I'd never worn before. I want people to know it's okay to set boundaries, I said. Even with family, especially with family. You don't owe anyone your silence just because you share DNA. Andrea blinked slowly, then smiled. That's powerful. When the interview ended, I sat back in my chair and stared at the blank screen. For the first time, my truth existed outside of my own head. It was terrifying. It was freeing. By Friday morning, the storm reached my family. I don't know how they found out. It could have been someone at the news station, someone online, or just the universe deciding to stir the pot. But my phone started buzzing nonstop. Mom called 6 times before noon. Dad twice. Jessica sent a text longer than the U.S. Constitution. Are you seriously doing a news interview? About us? About our private family matters? This is beyond acceptable, Haley. You're making a huge mistake. Dad sent a single sentence. You're going to regret this. Melanie sent a laughing emoji, followed by, well, Mo, you're really milking this for attention, huh? I blocked them. All of them. Not out of anger. Out of peace. For the first time in my life, their panic wasn't my responsibility. My phone finally went quiet. Saturday, I took myself to the farmer's market, bought overpriced strawberries, sourdough bread, and cheese I couldn't pronounce. I wandered between stalls like someone who didn't have a family meltdown happening behind the scenes. I sat at an outdoor cafe, treated myself to brunch, and let the sunlight touch my skin in a way my family never had. Soft, warm, without expectation. Claire texted, I heard your interview is airing Monday. I'm so proud of you, Haley. You're helping more people than you realize. I saved the message. It felt like a small affirmation from the universe. Sunday night, I barely slept. Not from fear. Fear was familiar. This was something new. Excitement, anticipation, a buzzing under my ribs like I was on the edge of a cliff, looking out at something vast. I kept imagining what it would be like to see myself on TV. Not as the joke, not as the family scapegoat, not the quiet one, the sensitive one, the one who made everything about herself. Just someone telling the truth. Monday evening arrived like a slow inhale. I microwaved leftover pasta, sat on my couch with a pillow clutched to my chest, told exactly 3 people the segment was airing. Claire, my coworker Devin, and Ethan, who promised not to tell anyone else in the family. At 5:55 p.m., my phone buzzed. Devin, watching. This is wild. Claire, recording it for you. You're doing amazing. At 6:03 p.m., after a commercial break featuring car insurance and a dog that saved a kid from drowning, Andrea's face filled the screen. Tonight on Your Voice Matters, we're talking about family expectations, emotional boundaries, and what happens when a simple birthday celebration becomes a viral moment that sparks a national conversation. Then my face appeared. Me, in my apartment, looking calmer than I had felt in years. They showed the selfie, the card, my family in the background laughing at the table, Andrea's voice narrating how my post had been shared over 10,000 times, how people across the country were sharing their own experiences of being overlooked by the people meant to love them. Then back to me on the screen. You don't owe anyone your silence just because you share DNA. When the segment ended, the weather forecast cut in. I sat there, staring at my own reflection in the dark TV screen. I'd done it. I'd said the thing I had swallowed for decades. I didn't apologize. I didn't soften it. I didn't protect them. My phone exploded in notifications. Claire, I'm crying. That was perfect. You were perfect. Devin, bro, I'm telling everyone I know you. Jake, my old college roommate. Just saw you on the news? Proud of you, Haley. The DMs poured in. People I hadn't spoken to in years. People I'd never met. All saying some version of the same thing. Thank you. This helped me. You're not alone. One message stopped me cold. Hi, Haley. My name is Patricia. I'm 54. I just watched your story. I've spent my whole life making excuses for my family treating me like I didn't matter. Watching you stand up for yourself gave me the courage to finally set boundaries with my own mother. Thank you. You changed my life tonight. I read it 3 times. I had changed someone's life. Me, the quiet one, the sensitive one, the one who never fought back. At 6:47 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Hello? Haley? It was my mother's voice, tight, controlled, shaking, not with fear, but with rage. She must have been calling from someone else's phone because I had blocked her. I watched the news, she said, each word sharp enough to cut glass. How could you do this to us on television? Do you know how many people saw that? I know exactly how many, I said, and I know exactly what they're saying. And what's that? That you treated me badly, I replied, because you did. We took you to dinner, she snapped. We gave you a card. We were celebrating you. You took me to the cheapest buffet you could find, I said, and you gave me a card that said I wasn't worth celebrating. That's not a celebration, that's an insult. Silence. I could hear her breathing, heavy and uneven. You've turned everyone against us, she finally whispered. Our friends, our church, even your Aunt Linda is getting messages. Your father can't go to the grocery store without someone recognizing him. Good, I said simply. Maybe now you'll understand what it feels like to be seen for who you really are. Sig. You're being cruel, she hissed. No, I said softly. I'm being honest. There's a difference. So that's it? She demanded. You're just going to cut us off forever? We're your family. You're my relatives, I corrected. Family shows up. Family remembers. Family doesn't laugh when you're hurting. Haley. I'm done, Mom. I'm done explaining myself. I'm done justifying my feelings. I'm done waiting for you to care. Another long silence. So that's it? She whispered. You're going to throw away 28 years? No, I said. I'm finally accepting that you already did. I hung up. My hands weren't shaking. My chest wasn't tight. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free, and I had no idea that everything was about to escalate even further. The week after the news segment aired felt unreal. My phone turned into a non-stop stream of notifications. YouTube uploads of the segment passed 200,000 views. Comments poured in from strangers thanking me, telling their stories, telling me I wasn't alone. For once, I wasn't invisible. For once, my voice actually landed somewhere. On Wednesday morning, I opened my email half asleep and froze. Subject line, potential book project, representation inquiry. A literary agent, a real one. She wrote, Hi, Haley. I came across your interview and think your story would resonate deeply with a wide audience. If you've ever considered writing a book, memoir, self-help, or hybrid, I'd love to talk. I stared at the email like it might evaporate. Writing a book? Me? The girl whose family forgot her birthdays? The girl who sat quietly at buffets eating gray mashed potatoes while her family talked around her? I typed back, let's talk. Another doorway opening. And strangely, none of these new opportunities felt overwhelming. They felt like things that had been waiting for me, just out of reach, until I finally chose myself. 2 podcasts emailed the next day. A regional magazine reached out for a feature. I said yes to everything. Not because I wanted revenge, though my family certainly believed that, but because every new person who messaged me with, "This happened to me too," made me realize this was bigger than a birthday. This was about people who had been erased inside their own homes. People like me. 2 weeks after the segment aired, my phone buzzed again. Ethan. "Hey, just wanted to let you know I moved out. Got my own place." I blinked. He kept typing. "Told mom and dad I needed space. They're pissed, but whatever. You were right about a lot of stuff. Thanks for showing me it's okay to choose yourself." I set my phone down and stared at the wall. My brother, the kid who barely looked up from TikTok long enough to say hi, had moved out of our parents' house because he finally saw the cracks too. My throat tightened. Maybe I hadn't lost everyone. Maybe someone else had been quietly drowning with me. A month later, I turned 29. But this time there was no golden corral, no cheap card, no insults masked as jokes. I booked a reservation at a nice downtown restaurant, the kind I used to walk past and think, someday. And for the first time, someday came. My table was filled with people who wanted to be there. Claire, who hugged me like we'd known each other for years. Devin, loud, chaotic, already 2 cocktails in. Jake, who drove 3 hours just to make it. We ordered steaks, good wine, dessert that didn't come from a freezer. The waiter brought out a single chocolate lava cake with 1 candle. Everyone sang, not half-heartedly, not distracted, not scrolling their phones. They looked at me, really looked, and meant every word. "Happy birthday, Haley." When I blew out the candle, I didn't make the wish I used to make every year. I hope my family changes. I hope they treat me better. I hope next year is different. This time my wish was simple. More moments like this. Moments where I didn't have to shrink to exist. Moments where I felt wanted, not tolerated. Moments that felt like mine. 3 months later, a notification popped up on my phone. Melanie Carter posted on Facebook. It was public. Curiosity tugged at me. The post read, "I've been doing a lot of thinking. What I wrote in Haley's birthday card was hurtful and wrong. I thought I was being funny, but really I was being mean. Haley, if you're reading this, I'm sorry. You deserve better from all of us." Hundreds of comments from her friends flooded in. People praising her growth. People calling the apology brave. I read the post twice. My heartbeat didn't quicken. My stomach didn't drop. My eyes didn't burn. I felt nothing. Not because I still hated her. Not because I was holding on to the hurt. But because I had finally reached a point where their apology, late, incomplete, performative or not, didn't dictate my healing. I wasn't waiting for their remorse anymore. I had already moved on. I closed the app, set my phone down, made myself a cup of tea. And as I curled up on my couch, my sagging thrift store couch that I once resented, I realized something. I was happy. Not the dramatic, life-changing happiness you see in movies, but a quiet happiness. An earned happiness, the kind that grows in the empty spaces where pain used to live. My life wasn't perfect. My family hadn't suddenly changed, but I changed. I stopped begging for scraps. I stopped accepting the bare minimum. I stopped believing that DNA excused cruelty. And once I stopped, everything else shifted. My friends became my family. My brother stepped into his own strength, and I finally, at 29, stepped into mine. If there's one thing I know now, it's this. Sometimes the people who raised you can't see your worth, but that doesn't mean you don't have any. Sometimes you have to walk away to find the people who will celebrate you the way you deserved all along. And sometimes, if you're brave enough to tell the truth, the world doesn't fall apart. Sometimes it opens.